In this video, I'm going to add this missing stuff. So this guy here, this, some of these cylinders, this kind of stuff. I'm not going to add the sights, and won't add the hammer in this one or this little clasp bit, but we're getting pretty close to the end on this thing. So this one should be a shorter video. I'll go ahead and do create poly cube. Just use this as the basis for getting started here. And I might as well just go ahead and do this from the front. Don't want to have any translation on X because I want to be able to, this thing is all built around the center line. So notice that this thing is actually wider than the top facet. So I want to do something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and move this up where it's interpenetrated but not super. I don't want it to go way through here, so just a little bit like that. And then I'm going to grab these guys here and snap those to snap those down to, looks like this one here. So that really lines well with our reference, so that looks good. I'll go ahead and grab these and push them back to, looks like that vert. These guys here, push them up to the front, and there's a little bit of a gap in this reference as this thing spins around. Love being able to spin this. So see, there's a little bit of a ledge right there. So that's good for us because we don't want to have two faces fighting for who's in front of the other. So just adding a little bit of ledge like that will make that look good. I'll double check this thing from the front and see what this. So this actually has a little bit of a curve to it. We could do that depending on poly budget, which we're actually looking fine right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add that in with a couple facets. So go ahead and bevel that. Take a look from the front again. Obviously the bevel's a little on the deep side, so go ahead and bring that back up, and then maybe just give it an extra segment there. So something like that will probably look pretty nice. Okay. Alright, so now again from the side, I'll add in the other cubes that I'll use for Booleans here, and then I'm going to end up just sort of duplicating this one a few times and then combining those together. So in this case, just drag this out by verts to be the easiest thing. Okay. So just Command D. Looks like that one lines up well, and this one is a little bit shorter. Now those could potentially also have a corner bevel. I'm not sure they need it, but they may look nice with that. Let me just pull this open here. Okay, so just make sure it's big enough to cut all the way through. In fact, I think those are going to look fine just like that. So I'm not going to add that bevel in the corners. I'm not even sure it's supposed to be there, but that guy and then those guys, difference those. Looks like we have a little bit, not enough gap happening there, and I think I'm going to attribute that to the fact that our perspective is sort of skewing this a little bit. So I'm just going to grab all of these verts and pull these up, because in the video reference it's very clear that there's a pretty good sized gap there. So something like that looks more like what I think I saw in the video reference. So that looks pretty cool. The little edge right there doesn't feel quite right. Let me take a look at the reference here. Oh, look at that, it actually does do that. You see that little corner point right there? It just smoothed in with some weld, but that looks pretty spot on. Okay, so now let's just clean this guy up. Everything that's interpenetrated doesn't need to be a face. So grab these guys, even these tiny little corners like that. Might as well get rid of those. Okay, so again, those are all inside anyway, so you're never going to see them. That looks good. Alright, let's go ahead and add this piece down here, which I think I had a pretty good view. Here it is right there. So you see it's actually kind of a T, and it looks like it might be, it's hard to tell if that's motion blur or what that's causing that, but it doesn't look like it angles down much here. But that's offset from the front of the gun, so we'll just remember that. And we got that side image actually to help us with that, so that should look good. Should be pretty simple, just basically a cube. So go ahead and add that. Lots of cubes in this one apparently. Okay, And here I can clearly see that it is offset back. This one is supposed to interpenetrate, so I'm going to go ahead and just push it up in there just a little bit. Looks like it needs to come down about this far. Actually, let's just take this step by step. So this first one is just going to be this top piece here, and this could be built as two separate objects or all one object with an extrusion. It sort of doesn't make much difference. Okay, so something like that. It does stick through the end piece there. That looks like that's going to be a bit on the thick side. Let's take a look at what that actually is supposed to look like. Yep, so there's the actual size of it. And it looks like it does have a little bit of a bevel inside. I'm not sure that that's something that we really need to add as a detail here. So I'll just grab the bottom and just do an extrude on that. And again, I'm just going to size that in to about where it should be, something like that, and then G, and then pull that guy down. And it looks like there's just a slight taper to that, so I might as well go ahead and add that. That's not going to cost anything. So just a little taper like that. Okay, let's take a look at what that piece looks like. Okay, looking good. The the front of this thing may have a little bit of a weirdness given that extrusion that I just did. So let me just double check that everything's cool here. This is the kind of thing that can happen. So let me pull around so we can actually see this. This guy right here, it thinks that that is a face. So basically I did an extrusion on that area, but then didn't extrude in. So you end up with those sort of weird little things. So just, it's not a big deal so long as you remember you have a little bit of an issue that you need to go clean up. Alright, and I'll just clean that stuff up. Still have a little bit of a, oh, that makes sense because that's a big fat end gun. So let me just back this thing up and we'll just do it as an end gun because that should be fine anyways. So just fill that hole. So that should basically all be still in a straight line anyways. So, and then this is always going to be inside, so we don't need that. This whole back edge can go away, and that'll reveal this one other face. There we go. Okay, so basically what that is you do an extrusion, and then if you don't pull the verts in, it just stays a face itself is the thickness of an edge, which really doesn't have any thickness, and so that's why you end up with those weird little pieces like that. Okay, so that piece actually looks fine. Take a look from the side again here. Okay, we'll go ahead and add this cylinder. And this one could be considerably lower. I think we did 12 for the bullet or so, and I think that 12 will probably be appropriate here. Maybe we could go up to 14 because this one does get a little bit larger right here. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to take a look at this from the front, even though the side has a pretty good piece of reference on that. Let me just grab these two pieces and see what we have here from the front. Okay, so this whole thing needs to fit within this. So I'm just going to scale that down a bit and make sure it fits in. So something like that. And then the back of this will never ever be seen. So just grab that, convert to faces, delete, and then inset that so that it interpenetrates right there. Again, not a great deal of interpenetration, just a little bit. Double take a look from the side here. Looks like it might taper down a bit, which we could add or not add. It's not a big deal either way. Let's just say that comes out to around there. I'm just going to get rid of this this vert right there. So I only have to grab one face and to do my extrusions. Okay, so in this case, basically, we're just going to size that down to something that looks like it makes sense. So maybe that's a little further. It doesn't look like it steps that much. So just to give that guy a little bit of sort of a bevel, just pull that out. That's pretty much it. and then repeat that. I don't know why it keeps losing that action, but it does. Okay, so side view, and in this case, this is going to come out. I can't tell if it actually comes out a little further than that piece or if that's just perspective. Definitely comes out a little bit further. Okay, so this is not quite to the end of the gun, but pretty close. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Looks good. So just Shift I here. So this piece is supposed to be all the way down and into that, and since it's all a big fat interpenetration anyways, it's not going to hurt anything just to go ahead and pull that down. It's a little bit of a discrepancy from front to side as far as where those things should be. Alright, that looks pretty good. And I'll just add that last little bit. Let's see, 14. 14 should be right. We'll just keep it the same here. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change this now that I'm almost at the end of this video, just to turn these cap divisions off so in the future I don't have to always go back and delete those things out. Alright, so from the front, this thing should actually have a size for this. So the width is sort of determined right there. So something like that looks like it should be pretty close to right. And then basically I just need to get that centered. So I'm just going to snap that to the center point there, and that looks like it's basically right. Scale that down, double check from the side what that width is actually supposed to look like. It's pretty close on width. And then in this case, a little bit of a rotation on this thing actually might be a good idea, because I want to pull it up. Let me just show you this straight from the front. I want to pull this up, and if I pull it up by these verts, see that little taper? It's going to have that little taper in it. And of course I could, this is fine actually, it's not a big deal. I'll just snap them out. It sort of doesn't matter either way. So let me go ahead and get rid of a few of these spans that I'm not going to need. So I'm going to be pulling it up from this edge. So I won't need this one or this one. So I'll just delete those. And then these edges here, I can just collapse. So let me go ahead and, whoops, looks like it didn't quite get my ring. Grab that and then just collapse those. So that'll give me one point in the middle, and I think that's going to be useful because as I interpenetrate these pieces, I'm going to need to have this piece stay down. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. I'm sorry, that's sort of getting a little ahead of myself. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with reflection, snap that out, and then we'll just go ahead and snap those or interpenetrate those there. And again, this is why I left this one span here. So this could be interpenetrated but not go into the barrel. So if I didn't have this edge pulling down like this, then it would actually be visible inside the barrel. So we'll just grab these faces here and delete them since they're inside the mesh anyways. You don't need to see them. Okay, so that sticks out the front there. That basically is all looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that for this video, and I'll come back and add the sights and the hammer and the clasp, and that'll wrap this thing up.